Excellent. Standing tall, settling into the soles of the feet, rocking forward and back. Checking in with the breath. Bring the hands into the heart center, checking with the qualities of the mind. And creating, I always like to think about like creating this sensation or this invitation to just not be distracted for the next 75 minutes. It's a challenge for me, for sure. Probably a challenge for most of us, but letting the mind be present in the place is probably one of the more important parts of what we're doing here, is to learn how to just do one thing at a time and to learn how to be present. To create that presence in your practice will translate into a greater sense of presence when you're living your life, and you'll realize more quickly, like, hey, I'm not even here right now, or I'm checking out. It's not the best way to go through life. We're not hardwired to actually create optimal health when we let the body get fragmented, the body, the mind, the spirit. So bringing all the awareness into the center, and just checking in with the breath, checking in with the mind, checking in with the physical body, noticing if the mind is resistant this morning or whatever is happening for you. Settling down onto the soles of the feet, and connect with any intention or affirmation you might like to focus on for your practice this morning. And just very slowly let the chin just drop towards the hands on the center of the chest. Feel that invitation for the muscles down the back of the body to elongate. Just breathe into that. Soften. Breathe. Relaxing the head, the jaw, the teeth, and the tongue. And on an inhale, let the chin lift back up to the horizon. Let the hands relax down. Shift the weight on the sole of one foot. Here we go. Circling. Really spreading the toes wide, really relaxing down onto that supporting leg. Circling in one direction and circling in the opposite way. And noticing the breath as you do it. You know, there's this sense of when we anticipate anything, we kind of hold our breath. So there's always this sense at the beginning of practice of like, how's this going to feel? How am I going to do? Is my body going to cooperate? There's a little bit of anticipation at the beginning of a practice. Not so much for me because I kind of know what's going to happen, but maybe for you. And recognize that and make sure that we're truly relaxing into the breath. Let the breath be as relaxed as if you're just laying in a hammock on a beautiful warm summer day. Moving to the other leg now, circling the toes around, softening into the knee. Let that hip be open on whatever side you're rotating. Let there be stability in that supporting leg. And then both feet come under the body, long spine, circling the head, starting out small, just feeling your way around. And again, a reminder, noticing your habitual tendencies and directions. So as you get to choose what direction you move in, would you always go in one direction first? And would you like to explore what it feels like to do the other direction first? Let that circle get large, and then let the circle start to draw itself back to center. Slowly circling back to center. Come to a place of stillness. You're noticing if there's like a little bit of swirling happening internally when that head comes to stillness. So when we move and then we pause, we can feel the difference between the Annamaya Kosha, the physical sheath, the physical layer, and the energetic sheath, the Pranamaya Kosha. That little bit of still sensation, whether it's swirling, dizziness, a little bit of movement inside, that's the Pranamaya Kosha. So recognizing that they try to work together, but sometimes there's a little bit of a delay, and you want to honor that. Start to bring the circle in the second direction back to center. And then we'll work those shoulders forward, up, back, and down. Squeeze the shoulder blades behind you. Imagine you're trying to touch elbows as the elbows lower down. And as those arms come forward, really letting the spine round, opening up the front and back of the heart center here as we lift and lower the shoulders, and then working in the opposite direction. So bringing circulation into the shoulder joints, exploring movement one side to the other. Hands, elbows come back down, shoulder blades down behind you. Elbows, wrists together, gently interlace the fingers, work on those wrists a little bit. Soft. How's that feeling? Keep the breath flowing. And then palms together. On an inhale, open up like a book. On an exhale, wide V. Inhale, pinkies together. Exhale, extend out in front. Inhale, up and over. Again, knees are soft here, hip distance apart on the legs and on the feet. Softness in the knees. Weight is evenly pressing down across the whole sole of both feet. Toes are spread wide. So the wider the foundation. If you do nothing else but continuously focus on what's happening in the feet and the legs as we do standing postures, you will do a lot to benefit your balance going forward. One more time, inhaling and exhaling with the movement. And then as the hands come down on the sides of the body, walk those legs together. Feet touching, inner leg lines touching, spread the toes wide, lower the center of gravity, circling around. Working the shin bone into the top of the foot. You might even feel that down in this area. You're definitely going to feel it in the knees as well. And letting the core actually support you here. So, lots of times the hands are on the legs and people feel like that's an invitation to really let the weight hunch down. But during the whole practice, get this sense of radiating in both directions. So really engaging the core to support the spine, lengthened, shoulder blades back and down. And imagine pressing the crown of the head in the direction opposite the legs. And then stepping out into a shoulder width stance. And starting out small. So see what happens if you just work the hips small. So keeping the legs extended, starting out with a small circle here, and exploring that in the other direction. So this is just an orientation of the pelvic bowl. So tipping the pelvis forward to one side, and then that pelvic tilt, like tipping that bowl backwards. Feel that in both directions before you go any further. Little subtle movements starting out. And then start to let yourself circle all the way around. Softness, a little bit more softness in the knees, still with a long spine. Just stirring around a little bit bigger. Most important, keep the low back well lubricated, softened, warm, especially as we move into the winter season. That's the site of Vata energy. Vata energy is the naughty energy in the body that creates the majority of health issues. So we want to always keep a really desirable home in that back of the spine, colon area for Vata, so that it doesn't want to wander out into other parts of the area and create mischief. Start to soften into everything, no matter which direction you're going in, just relax. Upper body now moves in response. Again, I can't stress enough, as I do week after week, let those reverse circles go in the opposite way. That keeping this area of the body, the low pelvis, the low back, keeping that warm, well lubricated, and in doing so, helping with the regular elimination that can really go a long way at not only just physically helping us feel healthy and in contact with ourselves, but also helps to draw the mind into the space, keeping us more centered. It's all connected. Now we'll come in a little bit closer. Keep your knees, toes, and hips facing forward as you lower the center of gravity for some spiraling. So if there's one part of the body to really focus on, it's that low pelvis, low back area. Let those arms go through gravity. And then just let go, let the body find its own stillness. Again, wait for the pranamaya kosha to quiet down inside of you. Come out to a wide stance, coming into empty coat sleeves. Low stance, lowering the center of gravity for stability. And then just let go. Let the body's momentum slow on its own. And then walk those feet hip distance apart, shoulders back and down, coming into cat-cow. Inhale, back of the tailbone up towards the back of the head, shoulder blades squeezing down and back. Exhale, round, chin to chest. Inhaling, pressing heart center forward, exhaling, back up heart center lifts towards the sky. And then moving into Sarpa, so as you inhale, lifting up towards the sky, exhale, hinge forward, and then round your way up. Expanding in all directions, looking for suppleness in the spine, and from the soles of the feet, all the way up the legs, into the torso, and out through the fingertips. And then hinge forward, soften into the knees, crown of the head lowers towards the floor. Just let the weight gently shift from side to side. Take 2 or 3 deep breaths here, letting each one go with a deep exhalation through the mouth. Squeezing empty. Slowly lower yourself down onto the sits bones with the legs extended out in front. Close the eyes. And in stillness, check in with yourself. Notice the qualities of the breath. Notice the qualities of the mind. Notice the qualities of the physical body as a result of your dasha chalana, the 10 churnings. And let's settle into a comfortable seat. Relaxing the legs down. And again, if the knees are feeling a little tight or a little cranky, don't forget to use your props here. Especially with colder weather, there's going to be a tendency for coldness creates constriction in the body, which means tightness, which also means it blocks the energy. So your posturing or your level of comfort, especially when you're first starting out your practice in the morning, might be very different than, for example, in the heat of August. So make those adjustments. Like, I recognize my knees are a little tense this morning, so why would I not support them? And you'll see quickly those blocks will be removed, but at the beginning, anything to help with that upward elongation of the spine. Shoulders back and down. Let's bring the hands right down to the low belly for an abdominal massage from the center of the belly over to the right, up the right side, across the ribcage and down that left side. Again, bringing all the focus into that little campfire, the Jatra Agni that lives right sort of behind the belly button, navel. And we're circling around that campfire with the regulated, supportive wind, not too strong, not too weak, a wind that's going to fuel the fire in a way that's controlled and harmonized with the rest of the systems in the body. So always bringing our awareness into that area, and also feeling ourselves, like, give ourselves a little self-massage, always a good thing to do. Maybe expressing gratitude for the fire in the body and in the mind. Hands can come down to the low belly, or you can relax them onto the legs. And with the eyes closed on your next inhale, let the breath press out towards the front of the waistband of your pants. Inhaling, diaphragm lowers, belly breath. Exhaling, belly sinks back in towards the back of the spine. Get connected to the diaphragm here and those strong abdominal muscles. And take some time to find a full and relaxed rhythm for that breath. You don't want to feel like it's too effortful, so you want to have the sensation of waves lapping up against the ocean shore. So if it takes a few minutes to get to that relaxed rhythm, that's going to be far more desirable to set you up for a full Dirga breath. Take your time here. If it's not feeling rhythmic, you want to just probably focus on each individual breath. Pranayama should only be done in a way that it feels rhythmic at all times. So finding just the right rhythm for you. And then begin to expand to include the belly, the rib cage, and the upper lobes of the lungs. So sipping in through the nostrils all the way to the top. Exhaling, chest, ribs, belly, squeezing empty at the bottom, drawing the diaphragm up and in to hollow that belly out just a little bit. Stay with your Dirga Pranayama, 3-part yogic breath. Also sometimes referred to as the complete breath or as the long breath for obvious reasons. And as you inhale, think about filling up the whole body, not just up to the collarbones, but just let the body stop you when it's feeling like there's no more capacity. So don't let the mind set that finish line. Let the body, let the breath itself inform your practice here. Stay with it. Deep full breaths in and out. 4 more deep full complete rounds of Dirga breath. This breath anchor you to the center of your body in all ways. It's your practice, your space, your breath. Notice if you're clenching through the jaws, the fingers, or the shoulders, and relax and soften even more as you continue with your Dirga Pranayama. Now on your next exhale, fingertips lower towards the floor. And as you inhale, expanding through the whole spine, fingers lifting towards the sky. Deep breath in. Exhale, fingertips reaching out towards the sides. Legs relaxing down. Bring your awareness to the back of the heart center and the shoulder blades, sliding open along the back of the body as those arms lift. On your next inhale, reach tall. On the next exhale, open up towards that right side. Gentle spiraling, exhaling in one direction, inhale back to center, and then exhale in the opposite way. Again, this is all core here, so letting the core dictate the movement. So you notice it's just all core, and arms and shoulders lowering in relation to wherever that torso takes you. So arms are soft and relaxed, just lifting and lowering, but they're not super active with respect to constriction. They're just floating. And take the time to squeeze empty as you're spiraled. It's a really great squeeze and soak of the internal organs. And then let those palms come down in the middle, right to the legs, to unfold those legs from wherever they're positioned. Remove whatever you're sitting on. Lean back into the hands. Let the legs extend out in front. Flip-flop the feet, triple the knees. Shake the thigh muscles off the bones and then wide stance with the soles of the feet, letting one knee rock and press down into the middle and then the other knee. Moving in one direction and the other. Then start to let the whole body roll. So anchoring the legs first before you rotate through the pelvis. So very important, like the sequence of what you do with your body. Feeling grounded through the legs and the hip before you actually rotate and reach behind. Always working from the ground up, always establishing a stable and comfortable foundation in every posture before we decide to go deeper. You want the body to feel secure wherever you end up. Now, the next time you drop the knees over towards that right side, bring the hands down to the mat, lifting the crown of the head away from the sits bones. Just add a little bit of movement here, going a little deeper in the spiral. I'm trying to center the sternum, the center of the chest, right in between those hands. I'm not quite there yet. My sternum is facing a little bit over in the corner, but you get the idea of what that spiral is like. Find a place where you can press into the palms, lengthen through the spine, reach the crown of the head towards the sky, and take 4 or 5 deep, full breaths, massaging that spiral just as it is. Massaging from the inside out by the expansion of the breath. And then slowly float yourself back to center. Let those legs extend out in front. Close the eyes just for a moment or two. Notice what you feel. And then drop the knees in the other direction. Hands coming behind you as you spiral and explore some movement. So listen to your inner teacher here. And then find a place to pause, press into the arms, lengthen the crown of the head towards the sky, and take those 4 or 5 deep breaths here. Again, feel that body expanding out in all directions. Deep full breath in, squeezing empty on the exhale. And then float yourself back to center. Again, close the eyes just for a minute. Compare that right and left side of the body. And then grab your props. We'll start to move our way into table position. Knees under hips, tops of toes, relaxing down. Coming right into puppy stretch here. So lowering right down onto the forearms and the elbows. Soften into the belly, lift the tailbone towards the sky. Arms are like 2 railroad tracks, and slide the elbows as close towards the front of the mat as you can here to create a deeper stretch through the back of the arms as well as across the chest. And then lower the belly, lower the forehead, lower the front of the heart center towards the floor. Take a couple breaths first, just letting your body come to stillness here. Imagine pressing the heart center even a little more closely towards that mat beneath you. And then start to add just gentle movement into the hips from side to side and circling the hips or the tailbone. Your imaginary puppy tail in this puppy stretch, circling that in the sky. And lift the head, bring the palms under the shoulders, spread the knees wide, big toes touching. Sink yourself all the way down into wide-legged child, relaxing all the way down. Take 4 or 5 breaths here. And let the breath press out in all directions in this shape of your wide-legged child. Feel any sensation in the inner thighs and the groin area. Soften into the legs and the knees to let the belly and the chest lower a little bit closer towards the floor. Just surrendering and melting. Then bring the palms to the floor to the lift. Let's do a little cross body stretch here. So coming into table position, press down into the right knee, send the left leg long behind you. Lift through the shoulders. So resist the urge to collapse down and instead imagine that the shoulders are level with the ceiling and there's a harness just drawing you up to create a sense of lightness through the torso. Roll that ankle. Very subtle differences like this lifting can make a huge difference in what you get out of that practice and what you activate. Then bend and extend into that left knee. Reaching long. Hips and shoulders level with the floor. And with that leg lengthening long, press down into the left hand. Let the right arm reach long, coming into sun dog. Again, shoulders level with the sky. So sense of pressing the back of the body towards the ceiling as you breathe and balance. Now let the right hand and the right hands come down. Press those left toes in towards the left shin. Lower the foot down towards the floor and shift the weight back gently to lengthen down the back of that left leg. Take a few breaths here. Feel that stretch in the calf. You can even deepen the stretch as the muscle begins to soften, going a little bit deeper in that stretch, working on the vata leg lines down the back of the body. And then draw that left knee under the body, press down into the left knee, let the right leg extend long, roll the ankle, twinkle the toes, bend and extend into the knee. Again, shoulder blades and back of the body lifting towards the sky. And then with that right leg extended, press down into the right hand, let that left arm lift long. 4 or 5 breaths here in sun dog. Again, lifting the whole back of the body towards the ceiling. Smoothing out the breath. Now left hand comes down, tuck those right toes in towards the shin, lower the right foot, shift the weight back gently, lengthening down the back of that right leg this time. Just breathe. I don't like to do anything in my practice that's going to come as a shock to the body. So everything we do in the first 20, 25 minutes is designed towards pretty much letting us do whatever we want for the rest of the practice. So we're activating everything in the body. We're lubricating everything in the body. We're waking it up, getting a chance to feel that waking up process, which is always such an interesting thing to notice from the inside. Maybe deepening that stretch a little bit more. Yeah. Now we're going to come back to a comfortable seat here. Do a little bit of lateral flexion before we start coming up to stand. So bring some props over to that left side of your mat. Coming back into a comfortable seat. I want to make sure we fully explore the sides of the body. Long spine here. Just let that left hand come down towards the floor and inhale that right arm tall. Press down into the right sits bone and then start to let yourself extend over towards that left side. Lifting and lowering using those strong muscles on the right side of the body, keeping the shoulder blades aligned behind you. Notice, is it tense? Is it feeling tired? Is it feeling strong? Feeling fluid? Is it feeling choppy, rough? Start to relax down onto that left elbow. Right arm reaches towards the sky. We'll do some circling here for the shoulder, for the arm. So starting out small, and then let that circle grow larger as you really soften into that whole arm here. So we want to feel range of motion. We don't want to feel any pain. You know, there might be a little bit of challenge here for some of us, but you want to make sure it's as comfortable as possible. Just exploring in all directions. And then start to bring that circle back to center so that right arm is extended towards the sky, and then the right fingertips can just drape overhead. As we pause for 4 or 5 breaths here, pressing the right knee and the right elbow in opposite directions, inflate the whole body. And then on an inhale, engage both sides of the core to lift everything to center. Let the palms float down in Anjali Mudra. Close the eyes and check in just for a moment. Compare that right and left side. Maybe there's tingling on one side. Maybe there's a sense of lightness, heaviness. Just notice. And then move those props in the over towards that right side. You might want to shift up the positioning of the legs. So again, legs do not need to be crossed here or folded in any particular way. You can certainly do this with the legs out. The most important part is that the sits bones are anchored beneath you. So it's the most important part here. We're working on the spine and on lateral flexion of the spine. So everything here down is for stability, but we're not actually using it in any other way other than that. Inhale that left arm tall, press down into the left sits bone and begin to extend over towards that right side, lifting and lowering. Use those strong core muscles. So imagine your right hand isn't even on the floor as you explore this. Start to relax down onto the right elbow. Let the left arm extend towards the ceiling and start to circle into that shoulder joint. Starting out small, letting that circle grow larger. Exploring in all directions. This is a really subtle movement here. And just noticing differences from side to side, noticing areas that might feel constricted, but can really do wonders for the lymphatic fluid in the arms and the armpits where there's a lot of lymph fluid. We're flushing that. So every time we add movement in this way, especially when we're going to the limits of the range of motion, we're going to squeeze those lymph nodes and we're going to allow that lymphatic fluid to move in a way that it's going to be purified. So releasing toxicity and any stagnation that might have built up. That left arm is now draped overhead. We're pressing the left knee away from the left elbow. Take those 4 or 5 breaths into that whole left side of the body. Now engage both sides of the core to draw everything up to center. Palms once again float down to Anjali Mudra to pause just for a moment or two. Notice what you're feeling. Then hands can help release those legs out in front. And let's come right back into table position, but we're going to start to move right back into down dog. So you may or may not need your blanket here. So coming into table, roll the toes behind you. And coming into a bent knee downward facing dog. So lifting the knees just enough to shoot the tailbone over the heels and drop the head between the upper arms. Then start to walk the legs in place. Alternate bending and flexing into the ankles, knees, rocking the hips from side to side. Just breathe. And then settle the feet hip distance apart. Drop the heels towards the floor. The head relaxes between the upper arms. Imagine pressing the tailbone as far as you can away from the fingertips. So there's this sense of energy of pushing the base of the spine towards the ceiling, which in turn is going to lift all of the bones of the back away from each other and create more space. It's an inversion. We're honoring the intuition of the heart over the thinking mind. Take a few breaths here. Soften and relax into Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then let's slowly start to make our way into a forward fold. So take a moment after every breath to walk the hands a little bit closer towards the feet, sinking the heels a little further down behind you. So we're modifying our downward facing dog here as we start to move towards Uttanasana. Bend the knees as much as is needed here. So just explore what's available to you, honoring whatever your inner teacher feels is in your best interests. And eventually you're going to come to balance on the whole sole of the foot with the crown of the head and the shoulders relaxing towards the floor and the gaze rotated towards the front of those legs. Take a moment for any self-massage, for squeezing, rubbing, patting. If you want to go any deeper, you can bring the hands to the back of the calves and draw the heart center a little closer towards the front of the legs. Take those 2 or 3 breaths here in Uttanasana. Again, let that breath fill you up on all sides. Make sure those toes are spread wide. And on your next inhale, press into the soles of the feet. Hands travel up the front of the legs as torso comes parallel to the floor. And then take another deep breath in and lengthen through the spine. So roll those shoulder blades down and back. And then one more inhale, arms reaching out on either side, coming into your full version of Ardha Uttanasana or half forward fold. Breathe. The body feeling. Make sure the knees are softened here. So no hyperextension of the knees. It's very typical that those knees want to press back and the legs will get rigid. So soften into the legs here. Take another deep breath in, and this time on the exhale, hinge yourself up to standing. Arms can circle overhead. Palms float down the front of the body, one hand resting on the heart center, one hand resting on the belly. And with the eyes closed, just check in with yourself here. Notice the qualities of the mind. Notice the qualities of the breath. Notice the physical body. Relax those hands down. Let's move right into warrior from this position. So open the eyes. Press down into the sole of the left foot, soften into the left knee. We're going to take one step forward with that right foot, about a leg's length long. So take your time getting there, just letting yourself move forward. Bend into the right knee, come up on the ball of the foot on the left foot, and settle down into your high lunge here. Hips are still facing forward, legs are still hip distance apart, hands relaxing down on either side. Take a moment to settle your breath and to settle your gaze on a stationary spot. Shoulder blades relaxing down the back of the body. And when you're ready, inhale those arms up. Coming into a full expression of Warrior One, Virabhadrasana Eka. Just breathe, feel, relax down. See if you can lower yourself even further down into that lunge, but still maintain this upward stable elongation of the spine. Just breathe. Now on an exhale, rotate that left heel down, open up into side warrior Parshva Virabhadrasana. Gaze just beyond those right fingertips and breathe. Again, if you're looking for more heat, imagine trying to push your feet in opposite directions here. Add a little bit of isometrics, or you can imagine trying to slide the feet towards each other. So engaging all the muscles in the glutes, in the upper back parts of the thighs in that isometric activity. Now on an inhale, straighten the front leg, rotate both feet towards the long edge of the mat. I'm going to just turn in the other direction. Some rotating. You can decide if you need to switch your legs around or if you don't mind facing backwards for a little bit. And then bend into that front knee, coming into side warrior in the opposite direction. Parshva Virabhadrasana. Just breathe. Take a few breaths here. And then let the hands slowly lower down towards the legs. See if you can lift that back heel and rotate the hips facing in the direction of that front facing knee. Finding your high lunge here. So working on transitions always, how we move from posture to posture throughout the whole practice. And then inhaling those arms up and coming into a full expression of warrior one, Virabhadrasana Eka. Breathe. Settling in. Now on an exhale, we're going to hinge forward. Let the hands come to the mat right on the inside of that front-facing foot. And slide that foot back to meet the other. We're coming to lift ourselves back into downward-facing dog. You can walk the legs in place. And then eventually settle yourself into down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana for 3 or 4 breaths. Just let go. Nice, you're in your own space. You can really take advantage of deep, full exhalations here. Let that exhale be an invitation for the body to release something that you're holding on to that maybe might not be necessary. And then bend into the knees and slowly walk the feet up towards the hands, coming back into that full forward fold. Tailbone lifts towards the sky, legs are lengthened, crown of the head and shoulders roll towards the floor. Might feel good to grab the opposite elbow with the opposite hand and create a little picture frame around the head. Let the body just very gently rock from side to side. Slowly releasing the hands down towards the floor on an inhale. Draw yourself halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana, shoulders roll back and down, long spine. Next inhale, arms reach out to the sides. Feeling Adho Mukha, Adho Uttanasana, Ardha Uttanasana. And then on an inhale, take that deep breath in, this time on the exhale, press into the soles of the feet. Let yourself lift towards the sky. Once again, hands circle down. Let them settle right in Anjali Mudra at the center of the chest. Take a moment to check in with yourself once again. Now, it's coming to stand with feet hip distance apart. We'll move into mountain pose. So coming in, rotating those palms forward, soften into the knees, engaging the core, lifting the crown of the head towards the sky. And on an inhale, let those fingers lift. Coming into your full expression of Tadasana. Keep that front and back of the heart center open. Keep the crown of the head balanced over the whole sole of the foot. And breathe. Lifting the ribcage away from the pelvis here. Now just for a moment, see what it would be like to lift the heels, coming up onto the ball of the foot. Balancing in the legs here. So let that happen. Feeling the legs come alive. And slowly let the hands come to shoulder height as you remain on those balls of the feet. Notice how that feels. Two-legged balancing pose, right? Do you feel the legs working? This gives us an opportunity to feel what happens in an involuntary way to those muscles and nerve endings without freaking out about it. Like we know there's a reason for it. We want to become familiar with those sensations. We want the mind to settle into the fact that it might be a bumpy ride, but that doesn't mean we're going to fall, right? It's just the nature of what's happening. See if you can bring the hands right in towards Anjali Mudra, still on the balls of the feet. Breathe. Probably see my legs bouncing around a little bit here. Gripping with my toes into the mat for sure. On your next inhale, let those arms lift towards the sky as you lower the feet back down towards the earth, coming to rest once again in your mountain pose. What a relief. Take a deep breath in, press up through the right fingertips, and let that left hand come down towards the left hip. And then take another deep breath in, lengthen through that whole right side and start to extend over towards the left. And Ardha Chandrasana, half moon, breathe. Again, be aware of the knees' tendency to lock here. Soften into those knees. We never want to hyperextend the knees. Just breathe. Lots of expansion of the body this morning. Inhale yourself up to center. Exhale, let that right hand come down to the right hip. Take another deep breath in and lengthen through that whole left side. And then on the exhale, extend over towards the right in half moon. One more deep breath in, fingers reaching towards the sky. Let the palms rotate towards the outsides of the space. Let those arms and hands take as long as they like to float back down towards the sides of the body. All the way down. Just breathe. And when the hands come back down, just take a moment once again to check in with yourself, noticing. So let's try a little balance pose here. So grab your blocks for this one. We're going to use the blocks. Let's see, let's do it this way. We'll bring the blocks to the right side of the mat. I'm going to stack them like so. So their two blocks are separate. We're going to be moving from triangle into warrior three, which is a balance pose. We're going to do that using those blocks as supports for the hands. Ultimately, warrior three is like this. And you can also explore one arm up or both arms up. So this gives you a way to move into that posture. But we'll explore triangle first. So bring that right foot in between those blocks and send the left foot back with that heel rotated at about a 45-degree angle. Both legs staying straight for this one. Hips are off at a diagonal. Heart center right now is going to be facing towards that open side, towards the front here, towards the left side. And then inhale, forward and back. And as we move into it, reach with those right fingers, drop the right hip, lift the left hip. This is what we're going for here. It's called a slide and glide. This is what prepares us for the posture. Again, my heart is still facing towards that left side openly. So there's a spiral in the spine. And then once you've found your position here, lower the right hand to the right shin and lift that left arm, stacking it towards the sky. Shoulder blades are aligned with that imaginary wall behind you. You might press into the back heel, see if you can lower down even more, still keeping those shoulder blades in alignment. And then rotate your gaze towards that hand, reaching for the sky in Trikonasana, and breathe. Notice the legs working here. Takes a lot of focus. If the mind checks out, that's when we tend to have a problem with balance. So just keeping the breath flowing evenly and smooth. Now on an exhale, Let that left hand rotate down, both hands coming to the blocks here. You can bend into that right knee. See if you like to play with lifting yourself into warrior three. So lifting yourself up with the hands on the blocks, extending the left leg behind you. Hips are now facing down towards the floor. And then you can play with balance here. The full warrior three being like an airplane. But you decide what's available here for you today. Just breathe. Also lift your blocks. Or just try one at a time. And then lower that back heel down, lengthen through both legs, rotate both feet towards the long edge of the mat. Little Prasarita Padottanasana here. So inhale the arms out to the sides, wide stance. Lower yourself halfway down, hinging from the hips. Take another deep breath in, and on the exhale, hinging all the way down. Hands come to the floor, crown of the head rolls towards the floor. And with the hands on the floor, take a moment to soften into the knees. And let the body just rock from side to side. Breathe. Might also feel good to bring your legs to stillness and walk the hands through the legs to draw yourself a little bit more deeply into that forward fold. Take a couple of breaths here. Now bring the hands back under the shoulders and slowly heel toe the feet back in underneath the hips. Knees are bent, belly or chest resting on the thighs. Slowly slide the hands up just below those bent knees on the shin. Drop the chin to the chest. Take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, slowly roll yourself up to standing. Coming back to stand, be aware, head spin upside down, so you might be feeling some sensation. And just take a moment to check in with yourself here. And so we'll try that triangle warrior three on the other side. You can either just alternate legs or bring those blocks over to the other side, depending on how you're positioned here. And then we'll rotate that left foot towards the blocks, rotate the right heel back and down behind you. And again, hips are off at the diagonal, heart center facing off towards the right side this time. Inhale those arms out. So we get a swivel or a spiral in the spine. Drop the left hip as you reach with the left fingers, finding your sliding glide. And then eventually that left hand comes down, right arm reaches towards the sky. Make sure the shoulder blades are in alignment behind you as you rotate your gaze towards the overhead right hand and breathe. Triangle or Trikonasana. Breathe. Legs working, feet working, toes working. Try to draw the shoulder blades down the back of the body to create space in the whole spine here. Couple more breaths. And then let that right hand start to travel down towards the front. Both hands can come to the blocks now. So just play with this. Bend into that left knee. See if you want to extend that right leg out behind you. You might need to shift the positioning of the legs a little bit to make this feel supportive. Again, you can lift one arm up, lift two arms up. Make sure there's a little bit of softness in that supporting left leg. Breathe. Warrior three. Slowly lowering the hands down, lower down that right foot behind you. Let's just move those blocks off to the side. Get a deep bend into that left knee as you bring the hands right under the shoulders and step yourself right back up into your downward facing dog for a couple of breaths. We'll explore three-legged dog here too. So feet coming side by side, lifting one leg behind you, reaching the toes towards the ceiling. Breathe. And let the other leg have a turn. Then settle both feet hip distance apart. Bend into the knees and walk your way back towards the feet. Hands come right up onto the shin below the knees. Drop the chin to the chest. Take a deep breath in. And on the exhale, press into the soles of the feet. Lengthen and lift back to that standing position. Again, take a moment for the energy to settle here. You've been upside down and right side up. So there's going to be a sensation there that's going to come with that. Let's do a few sun breaths and we'll start to bring ourselves down to earth. So inhaling up, optional back bend. Exhale, hinging forward. Bend into the knees, squeeze empty. Inhale halfway up. Exhale all the way down. Inhale, press into the soles of the feet. Lengthen through the legs. Lift yourself back up to standing. Exhale, palms come down in Anjali Mudra. 2 more times using your own breath as a guide. Next time your hands come down towards the floor, just lower yourself down onto the knees, lower yourself onto the tops of the feet. Tuck the chin in towards the chest, arch the spine towards the sky, and sink the tailbone back in child's pose, relaxing down, forehead towards the floor, hands on either side of the feet with the palms facing up. 4 or 5 deep full breaths here, surrendering in Darbhasana. What can you do to let that heart center come a little bit closer to the floor, relaxing through the legs? No engagement in the legs here. Bring the palms to the floor to lift. Lower yourself onto one hip so the legs can extend forward. We'll do a little supported bridge pose here. So make sure you have everything nearby for Shavasana, so an arm's length. We're going to go onto the back. I don't want you to have to pop back up again from cool down to that. We're also going to use our blocks here, stacking the blocks one on top of the other like so. Have those nearby so you'll be able to slide those right under your sacrum. Pretty sure we've done supported bridge together more than once. So, but I'll be guiding you through it. So lowering down onto the back once you get everything ready for yourself here. Lift the head, let those shoulder blades go wide behind you and lower the head and the shoulders back down. Make sure you're feeling the whole sacrum in your mat here. And then bring the knees right over the low parts of the pelvis with the hands on the knees. Let your body roll completely from side to side. Rolling in one direction, rolling in the other direction. And then knees over pelvis to do that circling for the low back. So we're noticing, we're massaging the back, we're noticing any areas of tension, tenderness, or sensitivity here. Circling in one direction, circling in the other direction. then let the soles of the feet come to the floor. So it's great here to actually grasp onto the ankles or the shins and tuck the heels in a little bit closer towards the buttocks here. We still want the knees hip distance apart. So we still want this alignment from hips to knees, and knees are right over the tops of the feet. And try to keep your mind engaged with that. It's very typical when we do bridge that the legs are going to want to splay open. So just imagine there's a rubber band holding those legs into this alignment. The hands relaxing down on either side of the hips or the feet. On an inhale, start to rock the pelvis and lift it slightly off the floor, engaging the legs. Exhale, lowering down. You want to feel the whole spine. So make sure you're rocking and orienting the pelvis. So as I'm lowering, I'm feeling each bone of the back touch down, and then I'm actually rolling all the way down to the tailbone. So my belly lifts a little, and then I reverse that. So I'm massaging all the way up and down the spine. And with each inhale, I'm pressing the belly a little bit closer towards the ceiling as I progressively make my way into Setu Bandhasana or bridge pose. Lifting and lowering. Now, when you think you've got enough space behind the back to slide that stack of blocks, or one block, whichever works for you here, pressing the belly towards the sky, blocks come under the sacrum, relaxing the low back here. So nice inversion. Again, heart is over the head. Let those arms relax overhead with the palms facing up, backs of the hands resting on the floor. Take a couple breaths here. This is a great lymphatic flush. Might feel good to start playing with the legs, so lifting one leg towards the ceiling. Hands can stay as they are or come down to the sides of the blocks, or even grab onto the back of the blocks if you feel a little tentative about your support there. So you can have extra security with the hands holding on. And then just pointing and flexing, moving those legs around. Imagine just balancing the feet and the legs over the hip joints. So can you even bring them to stillness? And then relax all the muscles of the legs as though those legs would balance in this position forever, right? You can try to find that point for you. A lot of the practice is about finding those balance points. And that holds true upside down as much as it holds true for standing right side up. So whatever feels good here. Might also add some movement into the wrists and the fingers. Bound angle feels good here. You can rotate the soles of the feet together, let the knees splay out to the side. You can pretty much explore whatever feels good. Then slowly lower the feet to the floor. Press into the soles of the feet just enough so you can lift the tailbone off the blocks, get that block out to the side. Take a moment again for drawing the knees, and this time drawing the knees in towards the chest and even lifting the head can be a nice counter stretch for that back bend, that back extension. Rolling gently from side to side. Take a moment or two for any last minute stretching or movement that will help you feel more complete in your practice. Then start to make your way into a comfortable position for Shavasana. And again, be mindful of your body temperature here. So we just built up some prana in the body, we moved the life force energy around. We also helped to build it through that practice of pranayama in conjunction with the movement of asana posture. So you want to maintain that. You want to conserve it. You just put some work in here. You want whatever you've done to help rejuvenate the body or to energize the body, you want that to be protected, just like putting money into a bank account. So make sure your body temperature is regulated during Shavasana. Even if you maintain the temperature that's a little bit warmer than you might normally be comfortable with, that would be preferable to letting just all that energy go to trying to maintain your body temperature here. So relax down, breathe into it. Soften into the whole body. Letting go. be particularly mindful of the mind's tendency to wander when the body comes to stillness. The mind wants to be like, okay, you're done. What's next? You're still in practice here. You're practicing presence. For some, this part of the practice can be the most challenging place to keep the mind engaged and to keep the mind present. But notice if that's true for you or not. Just let go. Relaxing down. Nothing left to do but to hold space for yourself. Let the last 5 minutes or so of your practice be just for you. Giving yourself that time and that space might be the last time and space you have during the day that will be dedicated uniquely just to yourself, just to your innards, your inner workings, your spirit, your soul, and your physical body. As you continue to relax down, take a moment if there's even one small thing you can do to make yourself 1% more comfortable. What would that be? Take the time to notice and to react to that. And as you continue to relax down, begin to bring your awareness back to the mind. Just check in with the qualities of the mind here. Notice the effect of this morning's practice on the qualities of the mind. And scan the physical body, the Annamaya kosha, the physical sheath of the body, scanning for sensation and for the qualities that exist in this moment. Notice the effect of your practice on the physical body. And then bring your awareness to the natural breath entering and exiting the body. Notice the qualities of the breath. Notice the effect of your practice on the breath. And then begin to deepen the breath. Drawing the breath down into the belly as a signal of your intention to begin that transitioning process out of your practice and into the rest of your day. Let that breath expand, and as the breath expands, invite small movements to start to come back into the physical body. And then start to slowly make your way to a comfortable position on one side if you're reclining on the back. Take a moment to settle in. Feeling what the body feels like, noticing the activities of the mind. Draw your focus into the heart center. Reconnect to any intention or affirmation you might like to carry forward into the rest of your week. Perhaps there's a mantra that will help you come back to center as you move through your days. And slowly bring yourself back to a comfortable seat. If you're reclining, hands in the heart center, take a few more moments to check in with yourself and for your own thoughts. Gratitude for sharing this practice with you today and for you sharing your energy with each other. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Jai Bhagwan. Namaste. Jai Jai. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Be healthy, stay well, and take care.
You too. That was awesome.
Diane.